Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about reading and writing files in Python using built-in function. Right now in this video I want to cover CSV file. A CSV file is comma separated values file. It's a type of plain text file that uses a specific structuring to arrange tabular data. Because it's a plain text file, it can contain only actual text data. In other words, printable Unicode characters. You should remember about Unicode characters. Okay, so now I want to show you a data set I created for this video. But first I want to explain how I got this data set, because I want to show the data set in Python to you. I don't want to show you the Excel file. So the data set is in the Excel file sheet. So now, how did I get this data set? Part of it was from a statistic book that I'm teaching for Stat 145 or Math 1350. Then I went to 2-3 other websites and looked at the data sets they had for states, United States of America, all the states of America. I chose some of the variables that I liked and they had in that data set, in those data set. I'm going to actually make a markdown cell here and print out all the website, and then I will I want you to go to these websites and look into it and see what they are talking about and how you can extract a data set for yourself. So let me number them like 1, 2, 3. So I went to this website, this link. Actually, this is a government data set. Most of them are public and you can use them. And the last data set, when I went to this website, actually, they showed these 2 websites, and then I clicked on them, and then I went to the kind of those sublink to get the data set I want. I want you to browse and see how these kind of data sets are arranged and how you can download them as a Excel file. Okay, and then I downloaded those Excel files combined with my original data set I had that I said I got from the book, and then I created a kind of data set for states of America and all the characteristics they have. Okay, the data set I have, as I mentioned, it has a first column which is all the states of America, and then the other columns are the characteristic of those states. For example, the percent of high school graduate in each state, and the other kind of variable I will show you when I teach you how to show the files, open the files using Python. Okay, so before I show that to you, before we learn about opening files, CSV files or text file, I want to give you a brief kind of explanation or definition of some of the words that we are going to use. A data set is a collection of kind of data or information that we get from individuals. So what are the individuals? Individuals are the people, animal, object, subject, whatever that we are working on. They are mostly people, they can be animal or objects. Now, characteristic of those individuals, like people have some characteristic like weight, height, hair color. All of these are variables in the data set. These variables are very important in the data set. A kind of person as an individual can have many characteristics in parentheses variables. For us, it's very important to know what is the type of those variables or characteristics, because based on the type of those characteristics, we can visualize our data set and visualize those characteristics and get the relation between those characteristics and explain all the questions we have about those individuals and their characteristics. Okay, so there are two main type of characteristic or variables that we are going to talk about. One is the categorical, another is numerical. So we are going to talk about variables, and then variables have two types. They can be one, numerical variable, or they can be categorical variables. Okay, so numerical variable, or another name for that, is quantitative. And then the opposite of quantitative is qualitative, right? Okay, numerical variable. Numerical variable are basically saved as values that have units of measurement, like height, weight. What is a unit of measurement for weight? It can be kg, it can be pound. For height, it can be feet, it can be centimeter. But remember, if I'm saving a variable like weight, numerical variable like weight in my data set, for all the individuals in data set, I should have similar unit of measurement. If the first person in my data set, the weight of the first person in the data set is based on pound, the rest must be in pound. So the unit of measurement must be same for one variable for all the individuals. If for example, I didn't talk about the second way that we explain numerical variables. So one is unit of measurement. The second one is arithmetic operation. If we can perform arithmetic operation on these values like weight or height, this variable weight or height are definitely numerical. So there are two ways to understand if a variable is numerical. Numerical variable, one, has unit of measurement, and two, performing arithmetic operation on this variable makes sense. When I say makes sense, when I talk about categorical variable, you understand what it means by make sense. And then what is arithmetic operation? Arithmetic operation is like maximum, minimum, summation, finding average. So finding average height of people makes sense. We can find that, right? Maximum or minimum height or weight. So this is the way we realize a numerical variable is really a numerical variable when arithmetic operation makes sense and we can calculate arithmetic operation. Okay, so the second type of variable is categorical variable. So for categorical variables, we don't have unit of measurement, right? Like imagine hair color. What is hair color? Hair color is categorical variable, and as it sounds, the hair color is divided to categories, right? Groups. So one, we can group this variable, and we can have 1, 2, 3, more than that, many groups. Okay, so 1, we can group these variables. 2, we can code this variable. What that means by coding, like gender can be male, female, right? So I can assign a 0 or 1 to either of this group. I can assign 1 or 2 to either of this group. For example, I say male, assign 0 to male, female, assign 1 to female. And then this is coding because I'm giving a code, assigning a code to each single group. Maybe I have 1 group, 2 group, 3 groups, and I'm coding based on the number that I'm choosing. But always remember, you should explain what these numbers means, what 0 means, what 1 means exactly. Okay, so now it's the time we talk about what makes sense means. Okay, let's say you have a variable that has 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, and then this variable obviously is stored in values 0 and 1. Is that going to be a numerical variable just because there are values there? No, because first of all, we don't have unit of measurement for this 0 and 1. Okay, if you cannot explain the unit of measurement, let's go to the second question. Does arithmetic operation make sense for 0 and 1? What do you want to find from finding the average of, for example, 0 and 1? Let's say this categorical variable is gender, and we say 0 is male, 1 is female. What do you mean by finding the average of male, female? Does it make sense? So here is the part that makes sense. Performing arithmetic operation makes sense, is useful. You can ask a question to make sure if that variable is really numerical or really categorical. If performing arithmetic operation doesn't make sense for a variable, that variable is not numerical. Okay, so this is the definition of kind of variables and what numerical means, what categorical means, and based on numerical categorical variable, we later will choose a certain graph because there are some specific graph for visualization, some specific graphs that are only for categorical variable or only for numerical variable. Imagine if you don't know what is the type of that variable, how you can visualize that with a wrong graph? You cannot. Okay, so there are I have 2 or maybe 3 or 4 more lectures on this kind of definition. I have a recorded lecture. I can copy the link here for you whenever I'm saving this file and uploading for you. These are my statistic lectures on YouTube. I'm going to copy this for you in case you want to, you have time and you want to learn more, and you can go to this link and understand and learn some of the statistical concepts, basic statistical concepts. Okay, so now let's move to reading and writing CSV file, and how the data set that I stored for you, I saved for you, how that shows on Python. Okay, so last time we talked about importing some packages and using methods in those packages, right? One of these important packages is pandas. So pandas help us to import CSV files. To import CSV files, or in parentheses, another form of Excel file, right? We need to import to actually read CSV file. We need to import pandas. What we need one of the methods that pandas has, and that method is read underscore CSV. So this is a method, right? This is a method. Okay, I'm going to read a CSV file using this method by importing panda, right? What I need for this, I need to write down the path to the file that I have on my computer. I need to write down that path here between those quotations, single quotation or double quotation mark. Okay, so what that means I have to copy everything, the path I have here. So later when you are watching this video, you should know and search how to find the path to a certain directory on your computer based on the computer you are using, Linux, Windows, Mac. Just Google it and you can easily find the way you can get the information or the path to your find the path to the directory that you stored your CSV file. Okay, and then the extension of CSV file is .csv. And then in one lecture, I will just show you Excel file and how I'm saving Excel file as CSV file. Okay, so this is your responsibility. You should Google this and find how to find a path to a certain directory that you have your CSV file. Okay, so we use pandas to do this. Well, there is one thing that I really don't like. I don't like to have this huge path in these parentheses here. It's really messy for me. So what I will do to make it more organized, I'm going to create a variable and name it path, right? And then I'm going to paste this address to the directory that I stored the CSV file, data frame.csv. I'm going to save it here, and then this will be what I'm going to use here instead of writing down a huge line, right? Okay, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to print. We know already what print function does. Print what? Okay, print whatever I am going to extract from this read CSV. What it does, read CSV is going to read the file for me, the entire file, right? And I'm going to name it data frame, and then I'm going to print this data frame here for myself, correct? Okay, and then I'm going to enter this. Look what I have here. I have my data set that I was talking about. Name of a state in the first column, one variable which is % of graduation, another column, region of those state, a % of first high school graduation, and then mathematics score, and then SAT exam, all of this, and then there are more actually here, And then I will explain all of this. This is the percent of minority people in those states. And what else? This, look at this, kindergarten attendance. If they those states require the attendance to kindergarten. And then what are these? These are 0, 1, 2. What are these codes, right? And then I wrote down here, actually I didn't write this down here. I just copied this column from one of those data sets, and they explained it. 2 means yes, the full day kindergarten is required. 1, code 1 means half day is required. 0 means they don't require attendance in kindergarten in those states. And then teacher qualification. So now you understand all of this. So what is this variable? These are all codes, right? And there's no unit of measurements here. 0 and 1. And this is a categorical variable. This one is categorical variable. This variable here, percent, is either of these are numerical variables. All these, actually we have another categorical variable. Look, I stored this as a letter, and this is definitely a categorical variable. This is not code anymore. And they are grouped. Look, south, west, and northeast, and you know the rest, right? And then the first column is the individuals. Now the individuals in this data set are the states for us. Okay, so now this is our data set. Oh, the last one, look at this. We have the date. The date that they extracted this data set, this information. Well, there is one question here. We are going to talk about that. Now, what I want to talk about is panda.readcsv that opens the file, analyzes the file, reads the CSV file provided, and stores the data in data frame, right? So now I'm going to copy this information for you here. I'm going to create a markdown file here, raw file, and then copy all the information that I wrote down for you. I'm reading for you. Okay, pandas recognize that the first line of CSV contains column names and use them automatically. Panda is also using zero-based integer indices in the data frame, and that's because we didn't tell it what our index should be. So now we are going to do that, and we are going to tell Panda to what the index is, right? How? Just with writing down index column state. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to again copy paste all of this here in this new cell, and then I'm going to write down comma index underscore col means column, and then a state. So what is the state? The state is the name of column for us, right? And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this. Look what happened. Now I don't have 0, 1 like here anymore. Look, in this data set, the first one I extracted, I showed you, I had 0, 1, 2, all of these, and a state was 1 column. But here state is not 1 column anymore. It's index already. It's a row name kind of. Okay, so what I did, just by adding this, I'm indexing the individuals. Okay, and what I was talking about date, right? I want to see what is the type of date that is stored here. It doesn't seem the type is what I want. What I want it to read as date, right? But this seems a string, but let's try it. Data frame, and then we have bracket here. I'm going to write down the name of column for date here, dates column, right? And then what else I'm going to do, I'm going to use indexing and see what is the type of this column, whatever we have stored here. And as you see, it's a string, right? I don't want that. I want date. I want to fix it. So we can use this to find the type of column, and we see that the date is stored as a string. So let's fix it. Okay, how we do fix this? We are going to copy paste the whole thing we had here, and then we are going to add some more arguments here. I'm going to use an argument parse dates equal the name of column that I'm going to change. Okay, remember, this is an argument, this is an argument, path is also an argument. So far we have defined 3 arguments for data frame. Okay, well, now this is the format to read the date. New format, correct format. Okay, so by parse dates, we change the type of dates. Okay, so now let's what to do. Oh, what we can do, we can override the column's name in the first line. Like, I can change these. I can change this huge name, right? I can change all of this and this, all of this. Okay, how I do that? First of all, I'm going to assign 2 more actually variables. First of all, I'm going to copy all of these here, because if I don't do that, if I, for example, remove this, I will not have the date the way I want. I will not have the column indexing correctly, right? Okay, so I'm going to add more argument. One argument is header equals 0. Why I'm doing this? First of all, I'm going to delete all the column name. What did I do? Oh, I copied all of these again. We don't need this, right? Because I copied this cell. I copied everything. I would fix it later for you, but we don't need that. Okay. So here I am going to rename the column's name. Column, right? First, we should assign 0 to header, which is an argument, which says delete all of these name, and now rename them. How? We are using argument names equal to bracket. So now we should see how many columns we have. In this data set we have 13 of them, starting from a state, right? And I'm going to rename each single one. Column 1, column 2, and all of them are going to be inside the single quote or double quote, right? Because these are string, right? So I already wrote down all of them for you. So why wasting time? I can just copy paste for you. Okay, so the point is that we have 13 of them. I renamed all of them. If you don't want to rename some of them, you must write down, for example, what was the name of column 5. You must write down. And then one more thing, 2 more things actually, which is very important. So now that I'm changing the column's name, right? So the first, 1 is not a state anymore. It's column 1, right? And the date column was the last one. It's not the date anymore. So the name will be different, right? The name will be column 13. I cannot have date here because it will not understand this. So change the index column accordingly. Change the parse dates accordingly. Okay, one thing that I really want you to pay attention, please. Don't just copy paste what I'm doing, because maybe the data set you are working on doesn't have dates and you don't want to change the format. Maybe even the format is correct. Maybe the indexing is already correct and you don't have the first column as individuals. So use all these arguments if you need. If you don't need these arguments, don't use it. I just brought you an example. In future, maybe you are working with a data set that have dates. So now you know there is an argument to fix that. Maybe you are dealing with a data set that has something else. So you can easily find the way to fix it by finding the appropriate argument for read CSV file. So the point of this example is just showing you there are ways to fix your data set the way you want. You just need to find that way. And it's not difficult. First lecture I told you, there are many help for Python because Python was there for a long time. You can easily Google it and find a way to fix the problem as long as you know what is the problem, as long as you know the aim of what you are doing. Okay, so what we do here, we are trying to change the column. Again, I'm going to copy paste a kind of comment for you here, and then done. All the columns are changed here, right? Okay, so what we did, we used pandas, we read our file, we manipulated our data set. There are lots of other things that we are going to go through that, like missing value, number of columns, number of rows, lots of things, but these are just the basic reading CSV file. And I personally, when I started understanding and learning Python, I personally found it very difficult to read the CSV file in Python or read text file in Python. These were the most difficult part for me because I was kind of more comfortable with R programming language, and R is a statistical programming language, and in R everything is really straightforward reading data set because it's already designed to analyze data. So that's why, for that reason. Okay, so we read data set, we want to write the data set as well. Imagine we manipulated our data set and now we are ready to extract all the manipulation or whatever we have done. See, now the data set is so neat and clean, right? Now I'm ready to save this data set. How we are going to save this data set on our directory? We are going to use the another method. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy paste a path here. Look, I changed the data frame's name because I'm going to save it with a new name, right, in the directory that I am mentioning here, which is the same directory. So if it is the same directory, if I have the same name for my data set, what happens? It will save it again on the previous data set I had. What happens means I'm going to lose my original data set. You don't want that happen, right? So you are going to change the name of data set. Okay, so now I'm going to use data frame dot. So what is data frame dot? Data frame is the name of my data set that I was working on so far. This one, right? I'm going to use this dot to underscore CSV, and what we are going to do, we are going to use the same path. Okay, so when we do this, we created a new CSV file named what? Named this, with extension, proper extension, in the same directory as the original file. Okay, so this is the way we write the data that we already read. Okay, so for this lecture, the participation point, the participation question is 1. What did I do to change the type of date? What argument did I use? So this is the participation point for this lecture. We'll see you in the next lecture.